In today's video, we're going to be taking a practice ASVAB. So I talked with my recruiter. He was able to send me a practice test which has like the full questions. In his words, he said this is the ASVAB test. It's just practice, but it's the ASVAB test. So I'm guessing it's as close as it gets. If not, it might actually be the actual test. So if I can remember some of these questions and the answers, that'd be awesome, right? But so we're going to take this test. I did take one whenever I first went to talk with my recruiter. I initially scored a 74, but it was only like a 10, 15 question test. And my recruiter says that test, normally when people take that test and then they take the ASVAB, it usually goes higher than that, right? So I've had people somehow score like a 6 or like a 7 in that 15 to 10 question ASVAB practice test. And then when they went to take the actual ASVAB test, they scored like a 30, you know? So it's crazy to me that people score that low, but I do love math. I do consider myself pretty good at math. And so, yeah, so when I scored the practice one, I was at 74, 76, can't fully remember. But we're going to be taking this one here. This is going to be a 2-hour long test. I'm not going to record the whole process. I'm just going to take snippets here and there just so that we can see, you know, where I'm at in this intelligence and all that stuff, because I am trying to be a combat engineer, and since I am going to be a combat-based job, I'm guessing I do have to be somewhat smart and have a pretty high test score, so hopefully we have what it takes. With that being said, let's get right into the test. Alright, so far it's asked me what 2 plus 2 is and how many sides a square has, and I've gotten them right so far, so I'm a fucking Albert Einstein in this bitch. Alright, so we just did general science. You have completed the general science test. These are 9 more parts of the test battery. Okay, so we got arithmetic, reasoning, word knowledge. Oh, those two are gonna fuck me up. I'm not good when it comes to speaking or language. Paragraph comprehension, not my specialty. Mathematical knowledge. That's my specialty. I can calculate how many how much TNT we need to freaking blow shit up. Electronics information, automotive information, somewhat my specialty. Shop information, like I can tell you what a hammer is and a wrench and all that. I know how to work with tools. Mechanical comprehension, again, I know a little bit. Assembling objects, thank God I'm Mexican. A student bought a sandwich for 80 cents, milk for 20 cents. All right, so you're already at $1, and pie for 30 cents. Okay, so you're already at $1.30. How much did the meal cost? $1, $1.20, $1.30, $1.40, $1.60. I don't know. Are we including tax? That's pretty cheap. A sandwich for 80 cents, milk for 20 cents, and a pie for 30 cents. For $1.30, he had a pretty decent meal. That's crazy. Not in today's economy. Fuck no. So that's 50%. So 120, that would be 60. 30 is a little bit, 35 is a little bit higher. So we're going to go 84. Yeah, I do math a bit weird. Okay, it's like, so for example, he says 240 flights and 25% and 35%. I tend to go the easy route, like, okay, like, I don't want to like do a whole bunch of stuff like on paper and write a whole bunch of stuff down. So 240, I'm going to cut that in to 50%. You know, so 240, 50% would be 120, right? And then 50% of that would be 25%, right? Because like, again, you already cut it, so another half would be only 25%. So 25% of 240, 120 is 60. So 60 is 25, and 60 is our highest, one of the highest answers here, and 35 is higher than 25%. So I went with the next highest answer, which was 84, because the other options are lower and under the 25%. I don't know, my math does weird stuff, my head does weird stuff sometimes, but that's how I do math. An employee invests 5% of his pre-tax salary into a retirement plan. The company will match 25% of that amount. How much will the company contribute to the plan if the employee earns $50,000 before taxes? All right, so again, the first thing I do would convert this to the easiest form, which would be 10%. So it'd be 5,000 out of the 50,000. 10% of 50,000 would be 5,000, right? And then 5% is just half of that. So 5,000, half of that would be 2,500. That's the 5%. All right, so 2,500 would be the 5%, and then we're trying to get 25% off of that. So I'd cut that again down by 1,250. That's the 50 mark. 1,250. So it'd be 625. That's how you do it, kind of like without paper. Like, yeah, like they're gonna give you a paper and a pencil to like do all this stuff, you know, write it all down and all that. But I mean, just, it's easier to simplify this stuff in your head than having to write all that stuff down. All right, so I went from not using any paper to looking like a complete mad scientist. This is just one question that for whatever reason I was overcomplicating and just went full out just freaking crazy writing on walls like freaking Barry Allen from The Flash when he comes back out of that Speed Force type shit. I was not making any sense. I was talking gibberish. That started to make my head hurt. But we finally got the right answer. It was so simple, but I overcomplicated it. I have to talk for it to make sense in my head. I can't just do it in my head. Like I have to talk kind of like what I was doing. And so yeah, in this test when you're taking, you have to be extremely quiet. And I hear it's extremely quiet in there. So that's going to be, I can't be the only one in the corner going, like talking to myself, like, like looking like a crazy ass person. So yeah, definitely going to have to work on that. But yeah, overall, I feel good. There were 2 questions where I was like, man, I don't need to get 100% on the test. So I was like, kind of like, fuck it, But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Now we are doing word knowledge. So for the example portion here, small most nearly means small, little. Sturdy, round, pretty, cheap, little. I'm going with little. I was correct. All right. Remnant most nearly means part left over, statement, knick-knack, paddywhack, version, remnant. I want to say part left over. Adorn most nearly means decorate, worship, forgive, grieve. Yeah, adorn is not grieve. It wouldn't be forgive. I adorn you. No. Adorn, it could be worship, I think. I kind of can see like that, but I think it's decorate. Adorn, like, right? I think it's decorate. I don't think it's worship. No? Make more beautiful. Yeah, decorate. Yeah. Decorate, yeah. You're saying it. See, she cheated. My wife is cheating here. I would have gone with decorate even if my wife wasn't here. Because, yeah, adornments, they're decorations. They're meant to, like, Yeah, adornments. How do you say the balls for Christmas and all this? Yeah. It's the same thing. Confidante most nearly means confidante, belief in yourself. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. It's just spelled weird. It's confidence, but just weirdly, luxuriously spelt. Abode most nearly means diagram, dwelling, deposit, dispute. Diagram. I'm gonna go with diagram because Abode isn't that like an editing software or something like that? Isn't it like an app on a computer? I'm gonna go with diagram. Alleviate most nearly means lessen. Yeah. Freshen. No. Socialize. No. Condense. Maybe I can see that. Like I feel alleviated. Like condense. No, condense. Like condensed milk, it's like watered down, right? Like it's like less concentrated, it's like alleviating. It's not, could it be lessen? Like, cause like at the same time, I feel more alleviated. Like I feel less of, English, I hate this. I'm gonna go with lessen. It will be just enough to pique our interest. Pique our interest. I don't know why I had to spell that out. It will just be enough to pique our interest, arouse, explain, diminish, satisfy. Ooh, see, they add these words that they're like, like they could both be it, I hate this because they try tricking you because pique our interest, I know it's like, like I'm piqued, I'm aroused, like, but at the same time it's like aroused, like I'm a horny little fella, like I immediately go to, aroused, like, like the good kind. I don't tell my wife, you pique my interest, like that's just, I don't know, but it's like English, like that fancy English. Satisfy? No, it wouldn't be satisfy. I'm gonna go with arouse. A featured automobile is an intentional quirk of automotive design. A featured automobile is an intentional quirk of automotive design. Quirk. Oddity, perfection, advantage, study. No, I think oddity. Like you're so quirky, like you're so like weird, unique, I guess. I think that's how that word goes. The argument was not only wrong, it was incoherent. Astonishing, condescending, disjointed. I'm gonna go with disjointed. Yeah, like it doesn't make sense. It's disjointed. He slipped back into his once familiar vernacular. What the? Vernacular. Everyday speech, liveliness, shiftiness, legal opinion. He's slipping back into his once familiar. I'm gonna go with liveliness, because he's slipping back into something. Like he's going back to his old self. So I don't think it's everyday speech. Vernacular doesn't sound, or I don't see any way that could be, talk, speak, speech, voice, communication, any of that stuff. So next. Apparatus most nearly means consideration, outward show, equipment, clothing. I'm going to go with equipment, apparatus. Give me that apparatus over there. It's equipment. The lens of the eye focuses light rays as they enter the light. Muscle around the lens react to the light and change the shape of the lens by expanding and contracting. Certain diseases or injury to the lens of the eye can result in blurry vision. Distinguishing colors, focus, prevent disease. Distinguishing colors. I'm going to go with that. A was not the answer. What? According to the paragraph, the lens of the eye. Oh, the lens. Focus light? It was B. I was one off. Oh, well. That was just a sample one, so that kind of gives you an idea how this is going to go. Since there is going to be a lot of reading, I'm not going to record this portion because it's just going to be me making no sense whatsoever, because I struggle with reading sometimes and all that shit. So this is going to be fun. We'll see. Holy shit, that was tough. I hate reading. It bores me. Bores the shit out of me. I hate reading. Can't do it. Not good at it at all. Cannot read for a long period of time because then I get sleepy. If x plus 1 equals 3, then x equals 2. All right, we're doing math again. I like math, but that reading portion really got me out of it. I'm like, like freaking just, I slept through it. I did it to the best of my abilities. But man, oh man. All right, the mathematical portion, donezo. Now we're on to electronics. Math portion, I felt iffy. There was definitely wrote down some stuff I need to, brush up on, like my prime numbers, my absolutes, and my reciprocals. But other than that, not too bad. So for example, now we're doing the electronics, which would be like, what does the abbreviation AC stand for? Alternating coil, alternating current, ampere current, ampere charge, additional charge. See, I don't know. I didn't know we were going to go this deep into this. Alternating coil. It's not alternating coil. It's not alternating current. I want to say it's amperage charge. It's incorrect. Ampere current? Sorry, D is incorrect. Fuck. Additional charge. Fuck. All right, so it's one of the two I said it wasn't. Alternating current. That is correct. We're fucked. That was just a sample question. It tells me I'm wrong and I could correct it. All right, which of the following allows the telecommunication industry to transmit the greatest volume of data at the fastest speed? Copper wire, optical fiber, wireless router, aluminum wire. Ooh, telecommunication. Yeah, we don't use wires anymore for like TVs and all that stuff. No, I want to say wireless. I may be wrong. Like y'all I may be y'all electrical people that watch this shit. Y'all may be like, oh, you're pretty dumb, but I don't know all this stuff. The computer's microprocessor is actually a USB port, a serial port, a vacuum tube, and integrated circuit. I'm gonna go integrated circuit because that sounds electronic-y. All right, next one here is going to be the automotive information instruction one. So let's see what the sample test or question is like. The most commonly used fuel for running automotive engines is gasoline. That is correct. Off to a great start. Look at that. All right, let's do a few of these questions. The function of a brake fluid in an automobile is to activate the brakes, lubricate the brakes, cool the brake pads, lubricate the brake pedal. Lubricate the brakes. I'm gonna go with that one. I forgot that they're not gonna tell me anymore if I'm right or wrong, so probably should have thought about it a bit more. Identify the camshaft in this picture. We got A, B, C, D. All right, D is not it. Camshaft, I think it's A. It looks like A. Most likely source of oil in an engine cylinder is leaking ring, can happen, faulty oil pump, foul fuel injector, bent camshaft. I'm gonna say fuel injector. No. It's not the oil pump. I'm gonna go with fuel injector, fuck it. We'll do one more. Multiple gears in transmission are necessary to allow for a variety of oil densities, lower and higher fuel economy, the engine to run at a quieter noise level, different travel speeds for given engine RPM. I'm going to go with that one. Body roll can be prevented by which of the following components? Control arms, rubber bushing, stabilizer, or sway bars. I'm going to go with that one because you're stabilizing. Shop information. Let's do the sample question for this one. Nails are usually driven into wood with hammers, pliers, wrenches, screwdrivers, rulers. A is correct. Would you look at that? I'm pretty sure some people do get these wrong, but we'll see. All right, I'm going to take this test because I am running out of storage here on my recording device, and I'll let y'all know how I did. All right, now we are on the mechanical comprehension. Sample test, when the belt moves in the direction shown, which pulley turns clockwise? And it looks like all three do. All of them. Next, correct. Surprise, surprise. Albert Einstein here. All right, so I'm officially done with the ASVAB test, or the practice ASVAB test. It says I have to reach out to my recruiter, and it's currently 8 o'clock at night, so I'm not going to bother him right now and be like, hey, yo, give me my grades, you know, like, let the dude sleep, you know, he's had a long day recruiting, you know, making the Army great again. So, yeah, so I'm going to reach out to my recruiter. Once I get those results, I'll tell y'all what they are. All right, so my recruiter got my test results. And for it to be considered passing in the ASVAB, you need to make a minimum of 30 points. And me, I just so happen to score, drum roll please, 77. So my recruiter said, hell fucking yeah, good job, man. So apparently I did pretty good. I made my recruiter proud. I am the Albert Einstein of the freaking Army. I'm going to be setting new laws, new rules and regulations. I'm going to come in as a chief of command or whatnot. So yeah, I'm freaking Albert Einstein level of intelligence here. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I scored a 77. I would be very excited to hear what some of y'all scored, because some of y'all are pretty retarded out there, and some of y'all are pretty smart. So let me know what y'all scored, whether it's high or low. I'd like to hear it. With that being said, guys, hopefully y'all did enjoy the video. It was a bit different, and I'll see you on the next one.